We discussed in great detail India's upcoming and very first anti-terror policy in the aftermath of Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor. On point 2, we take a look at how drone warfare is becoming a turning point across battlefields in 2025 and how the drone weapon systems are challenging traditional warfare systems. Now, headlines. Maoist leader Ganesh Uke gunned down in a high-risk encounter. He carried a bounty of rupees 1.1 crore on his head. India successfully tests 3,500 km K4 missile from nuclear submarine INS Arighat, boosting nuclear triad in strategic deterrence. Bangladesh Nationalist Party acting chairman Tariq Rahman returns to Dhaka after 17 years ahead of Feb 12th elections. The Union government very soon is going to finalize India's very first anti-terror policy. The policy will provide a comprehensive framework for the state to combat terrorism, digital radicalization, the misuse of open borders, and conversion networks funded by foreign players are among the key policy issues. The April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack sounded an alarm within India's security apparatus. The NIA conducted meetings with anti-terror units across states and apprised them of the measures to be put in place to prevent and preempt such attacks. The use of the National Intelligence Grid or NATGRID was discussed. NATGRID is a secure platform for law enforcement agencies to access government and other databases. Another factor behind introducing the anti-terror policy is the government's goal to eradicate left-wing extremism by March next year. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has made several statements to that effect. The third reason is the internal security threat from the misuse of the open borders, especially with Nepal, from where Khalistani terror networks have secured entry into Indian areas in many instances. Reason 4 is the threat from online radicalization. Agencies are collecting feedback from states on ways to address this threat. Remember that the Red Fort attack network was largely radicalized online with links to Pakistan. It was a complete homegrown terror module. Today, India faces a unique security landscape defined by both external and internal threats. Pak state-sponsored terrorism continues to fuel infiltration. Now, drone warfare across the border is there. We have several instances in Punjab and now in J&K, too, after Op Sindoor. Internal security challenges like left-wing extremism still persist, and they carry a real economic cost, hurting investment and tourism. At the same time, India is home to the world's third largest Muslim population, must guard against global radicalization, networks trying to recruit from within, especially through digital ecosystem. During Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister spoke on many issues associated with terrorism. What he said was a paradigm shift in India's approach towards terror.
जब पाकिस्तान में आतंक के अड्डों पर भारत की मिसाइलों ने हमला बोला, भारत के ड्रोन्स ने हमला बोला, तो आतंकी संगठनों की इमारतें नहीं, बल्कि उनका हौसला भी थर्रा गया। बहावलपुर और मुरिद के जैसे आतंकी ठिकाने एक प्रकार से ग्लोबल टेररिज्म की यूनिवर्सिटीज रही है। दुनिया में कहीं पर भी जो बड़े आतंकी हमले हुए हैं, चाहे 9/11 हो, चाहे लंदन ट्यूब बॉम्बिंग हो या भारत में दशकों से जो बड़े बड़े आतंकी हमले हुए हैं, उन सब के तार कहीं ना कहीं आतंक के इन्हीं ठिकानों से जुड़ते रहे हैं। भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा। हम अपने तरीके से, अपनी शर्तों पर जवाब देकर रहेंगे। हर उस जगह जाकर कठोर कार्रवाई करेंगे जहां से आतंक की जड़ें निकलती हैं।
So, India's current anti-terror framework gives the state wide powers to track, target and prosecute. The UAPA remains the backbone, and after the 2019 amendment, even individuals can now be declared terrorists, closing loopholes used by banned outfits. The NIA Act created the Federal Terror Agency, and NIA today can investigate attacks involving Indians abroad, alongside cyber terror cases, and through the PMLA. Agencies are hitting terror networks financially, freezing assets and choking the money trail. Now let's look at India's approach and compare it globally. In US, counter-terror policy focuses on protecting the homeland and disrupting threats overseas with targeted strikes and strong cyber defense around critical infrastructure. The UK's contest strategy works on 4 pillars: prevent, pursue, protect and prepare. Australia's latest strategy, announced in 2025, takes a softer route aimed at stopping youth radicalisation, building social cohesion and tackling mental health risks rather than military retaliation. So the big question today I ask are, why do we need a new anti-terror policy? What has changed in the last 2 decades? Should India make preemptive strike integral to our new anti-terror policy? Acts of terrors are diverse. Can all of them be dealt with one brush? Can terror in Northeast be compared with what is happening in Kashmir? Now, what is also important is that we are also defining deterrence. I'm joined by Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, former DGMO, Dr. P.K. Mishra, former ADGB SF, and Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director INB, who's also served in Information Commission. Let me straight away go to General Bhatia. Sir, like nuclear strategy or nuclear doctrine, do you think India needs to redefine its new terror doctrine, and why?
No, frankly, we have not done bad in anti-terror, counter-terror operations till now. If you look back, we've not done bad, but we've not had a whole-of-nation approach. We need to synergize and ensure that all elements of counter-terrorism, of anti-terrorism within the country are on one grid. They're synergized, they're effective, and it's all about approach. It is not only, if you're looking at Viksit Bharat, we should also look at Surakshit Bharat. And in Surakshit Bharat, we got definite and defined threats, and terror is a major threat in that. Terror actually takes a lot of our energy, resource, and money also, and time also. So we need a policy which is all-encompassing, which takes into account not only the security domain, also the legal domain, the intelligence grid, NATGRID as you spoke about, and we have to look at anti-terror operations also in the information domain. Right? If you look at it, we've done well. Why I say that is, post 2016 surgical strikes, we have not had a terror strike outside of J&K, except for now we had the Red Fort attack on 10th of November, which can't be directly into Pakistan. So thereafter we had the Jabba Top strike, which we wrongly call it Balapur, because Balapur is not known Jabba Top. And then after Pahalgam, we had Op Sindoor. So on the Western front, we know that Pakistan will sponsor terrorism. It is a proxy war. Building India with foreign cuts is a policy. And to counter that, we need one policy which is proactive, which is punitive, and which is preemptive.
Okay.
So that has to be the 3 pillars of our anti-terror policy.
Absolutely. Mr.
Preventive and punitive.
Okay, Mr. Azad, why do you think the government is thinking of a new terror policy? We have terror laws, but the government is thinking of policies. So my question remains the same, that are we thinking of sort of a doctrine? And secondly, when we talk about new policy on terrorism, are we redefining our deterrence thresholds, sir? Mr. Azad?
Well, I don't think there is much to speak by way of a new counter-terror strategy. What is a anti-terror strategy in a way? It comprises institutions, it comprises laws, it comprises social cohesion, and it comprises an integrated response. You have the toughest law, that is the UAPA. You have NIA, which has the jurisdiction to work abroad. You have the best of institutions. Where you are weak is your prison and justice system. Where you are weak is witness protection. Where you are weak is prevention. These are the areas you have to focus into, but you have to define a new anti-terror strategy. These are good, these are very good phrases and very sexy talk. But actually, and the other thing which I'll tell you, Kartike, we need not be so loud talking about our anti-terror strategy on every public platform, talking to the audience and the masses and energizing them and making them. No.
I'll rephrase the question. Why is government thinking of a new terror policy? Because this is not something which I have picked up in our editorial meeting. It's a published news report and the government is thinking about it. You have served both in intelligence as an officer in Madhya Pradesh, to say various layers of security. That is why I'm asking you. You were also in charge of the Indian security team, in charge of the security of the Indian cricket team in Pakistan. So my question is poised from a different vantage. Do we need one? Why do we need one? And why is government thinking about it? Has something changed during Operation Sindoor? These are my curiosities.
I'll tell you, the first thing, if you're talking about a kind of a response which we gave in Operation Sindoor, yes, it was an excellent response, I agree. But has it created that kind of deterrence for Pakistan? We are yet to know. There have been, if you think that there will be no more attacks, no. General is right. He said that we have to be prepared because the Pakistanis will always do it. So that's why a kind of an institution building, a kind of creating a firewall around us, strengthening the cyber security systems, strengthening the border capabilities. These are the things which we need. But we are weak at certain points. We also have to do something about our internal cohesion. For example, I feel that in Kashmir you have to give the government in the reins of the chief minister completely. So when you're talking about a counter-terror strategy, it has to be wholesome and it has to be absolutely comprehensive. There are many points which I can go on to, which I'll do as per the discussion goes on.
Take opening comment from Dr. Mishra. Sir, to you.
Yes, Kartika, I have just came to know that the government is going ahead. There'll be a meeting on 26th and tomorrow and day after tomorrow. The Home Minister is going to it. And in fact, we need it. It's not only after of Sindoor, that is 22nd April, what has happened. But you see the scenario in Bangladesh. You see the digital radicalization which is taking place after Red Fort attack, and the way Dr. Sahin and Dr. Umar, they were having connection not only to Pakistan, they were having connection to Turkey and other places. Kartika, you were just speaking about the US 2018 and UK 2023 and Australia 2025. They are how they have made their the country to face the anti-terrorism and the terrorists, those who are operating in that country. But then our UAPA, of course, it's of 1967, amended in 2019, but yet looking into this digital radicalization and also the proxy war of Pakistan, just now some speakers, they were telling, they will continue to do it. There will be no end to this from Pakistan. And I will tell you about the border. You see, the Khalistanis are coming. The Rohingyas are coming. Jais Mohammed is coming. Jamaats are coming. Lashkar-e-Toiba is coming. Hizbul Mujahid is coming. Who are not there in India? You see, it's not, Kartika, you just spoke about Nepal border. You are forgetting about Bangladesh border. Remini Pakistan, what it has been made. And we are having so many gaps. we don't have fencing 100% in the West Bengal and also in the Meghalaya, and mostly the Jamatis and AQIS and ISIS, they are penetrating to our country and looking into all these aspects. And globally, you find 10 countries which are really affected by terrorism. India is one of that. And global terrorism, if we see that every country, they know that India is number one, which is facing terrorism for last so many years, and nobody was bothered about that.
Absolutely.
But you see, funding, Kartika, I will also tell about the funding, how the funding used to come. So we have to look into all these cases.
I'll come to that. Come to that. General Bhatia, for example, Indian Army so successfully has run Operation Sadbhavna. I, as a field reporter, reported in 2002, 2003. But de-radicalization has been a big challenge for us. And I want you to speak on the complexities of various types of terrorism. What you can call a terror attack in Northeast may not be compared with what's happening in Kashmir. India also faced LTT terrorism, and it had to be dealt differently when IPKF had to be sent. So I want you to address the issue of the complexity when we use the word terrorism.
See, when you use the word terrorism, it is also winning the hearts and minds of the people, and that's what Sadbhavna does to an extent. But that does not Sadbhavna is the only answer. It has to be, iron fist and velvet glove. So you got to take action which is visible. There has to be punitive actions, and there have to be intelligence-based operations. You cannot be punishing the people who are the silent majority. And if you look at Kashmir, let me first say Northeast. Northeast today, the policy is subcritical. If you look at other than Manipur, of course, which is a different ballgame altogether, as far as terror is concerned, it's subcritical, very an odd case and all. If you look at J&K, which is a problem because of it is supported by Pakistan, sponsored by Pakistan, populated by Pakistan. If you look at the figures, I've got the figures post 2019, 5th August, the violence levels have really come down. In 2020, there were only 321 incidents in which 33 civilians were killed and 232 terrorists were killed, neutralized. And in 2024, it is 127. And 2025, it is 63 incidents, 28 civilians which are Pahalgam, 28 terrorists neutralized, only 9 security force personnel killed, made the supreme sacrifice. So you see, it's coming down. And why it's coming down is we have a good mix in J&K. We've got the UHQ, which is the headquarters, with the police, with the army, and all elements of security, and also information. Information is very important. What is the oxygen for terrorism? Oxygen for terrorism is the media. We played so much. Let's take the recent attack in Red Fort. It was covered by all channels 24/7 for 3 to 4 days. So that is where terrorism actually grows, because what is terrorism? When you scare the people, when you scare the public, and that is where I think the anti-terror policy is required. There has to be synergy between judiciary, between the security forces, between hard power, between soft power, between the state, between the media. So all these have to come together, and mainly intelligence. Intelligence has to be one grid. It's not need to know basis. There are times when intelligence is not shared. It is the new policy says it is not need to know anymore. It is duty to share. That's the difference between the two. Need to know, duty to share. So when you talk about intelligence, I'm sure, Mr. Raj, get me out. You can't have foolproof intelligence. There will be, he has only got to get lucky once or twice. But that does not mean that we should not ensure the best possible. And that is where I think NATGRID has to come up. NATGRID is in the pipeline for the last 15 odd years. We have not seen the fully effective NATGRID. So there are gaps which need one policy, whole of nation approach, and we'll be seeing terrorism. Terrorism not going out any direction.
Mr. Azad, you would remember after Parliament attack, even after Kargil, multi-agency cell came up. Intelligence Bureau took that issue up. Today, when a terror attack takes place, apart from the intelligence and police being active, even the narrative cells needs to be active, because there's an information warfare that is taking place. So my question to you, sir, is, has terrorism evolved as a spectacle in modern times, sir?
No, absolutely. You see, I want to make some basic concepts clear, Karthikeyan, here. You see, when you're talking about an anti-terror policy, upgrading intelligence, facing new threats, operationalizing new, actions. These are part of the anti-terror policy. So what actually is happening in 26th and 27th is nothing new. This is talking about newer threats, whether you're talking about Rohingyas, whether you're talking about the international borders, whether you're talking about Bangladesh, whether you're talking about the capability of the intelligence. But the second point which I'm saying is you have to make the basic parameters clear. To fight terrorism, for example, the critical aspects today are what? One is the point of radicalization, right? You see, the radicalization is the biggest threat today. It is an internal threat. The threat from the nationalism is absolutely boiling over. And this is a very threat. The threat which is coming in the northeast, in Manipur, and for this every time you don't need kinetic action. You see, what is required in Manipur is a very sagacious kind of a leader, say like Gadkari, who goes and creates a kind of a bonding between the two, where there's a buffer line happening between the Kukis and the Meiteis. So what I'm saying is, it has to be a complementary action on various fronts. Most important thing is, for example, Kartikeya, if you allow hate speeches in the society and don't take any action, these lead to retaliatory actions. And these are the forms of modules which come up. The modules come up from hate. Look at the radicalization, for example. So what I'm saying is, if you want to make a comprehensive terror policy, then you have to look into all these things. And what you talked about Kargil was some of the excellent things which Chidambaram had initiated that time. Not all of them could be done, but some of them which he did are doing very well.
So then tell me, how are we able to, how did we kill the Mizo insurgency? How did we deal with the Punjab insurgency? Once we dealt with them, they have not come back. I mean, so Mizoram is peaceful, Punjab is peaceful.
No, absolutely right. And that's why, if you look at, there are various streams. You see, every terrorism which is there has a shelf life. It cannot just continue and continue. I mean, for example, even in Kashmir, I always think that this is not a problem which can be solved. It can only be managed. It has a life of its own. It will continue for another 30, 40 years, no matter how much army you put in, how much intelligence you put in, because the elements and the origin are somewhere which you and I know will take time to dissipate. And that's why what I'm saying is that the elements of the counter-terror strategy have to be deeper. Radicalize. What are you going to do about de-radicalization? De-radicalization needs the chief ministers to call the people who are left out of the streams, the youngsters, the middle class, for example, to engage with them. Do you realize that in Al-Falah University, out of the doctors who were working, 1/3 did not say anything because they were complicit? Fine. 1/3 did not speak because they didn't care. And 1/3 because they were not connected with the society at all. Now, this is a very serious problem that nobody said. A society which keeps quiet at this kind of radicalization can be considered to be complicit. So we have to fight this. And how do we fight this? That's a part of a social cohesion policy which we need in this country.
That's a very important point. So if I sum up, Dr. Mishra, political engagement mandatory for de-radicalization.
Yes, Kartika, you are absolutely correct, but I will add one point. That is pan-Islamic radicalization. We have never thought about this. What AQIS and Al-Qaeda, they are planning in India, it is pan-Islamic radicalization. And that is what is happening everywhere. It's not only Jammu Kashmir. It's happening in Kerala. It's happening in Mizoram. It's happening in Manipur. Everywhere. So we have to be very careful for this pan-Islamic radicalization. And what I prefer that what is happening in Jammu Kashmir, so radicalization, it will keep on going. It is not cannot be compared with nationalism or left-wing extremism in Chhattisgarh and the other areas, because this will persist till Pakistan is there. We have to face it. And I'm very sure proxy war by Pakistan will continue in Kashmir till Pakistan exists. And otherwise, if we don't divide Pakistan, this will continue and we have to face it. So that is how it is a must that we have to look into this Islamic, pan-Islamic radicalisation and the proxy war of Pakistan. We have to be very careful about it.
I'll take closing comment from General Bhatia sir. Operation Sindoor. I know. I agree with Mr. Azad. Deterrence became slightly politicized in social media, but deterrence was the key narrative of Operation Sindoor. Ghus ke marenge. So, do you think that the deterrence thresholds will also be defined in the new terror policy, in your opinion?
It should be. It has to be, because you got to deter Pakistan. You got to change Pakistan's behavior in the mid to long term. It can't happen today, but in the mid to long, we can't live indefinitely with a neighbor who's waging a proxy war. How we do it is the key question, and it has to be both. It has to be punishment. It has to be punitive. It has to be military actions, and it has to be other. It has to be talks also.
Can we afford a preemptive action? Can we afford a preemptive action the way Americans do it, or it's not character of the Indian state?
No, we have to do preemptive action. We should have no doubts about it. Like I said, it's a 3P approach. It is proactive, it is preventive, and it is punitive. So we can do today. What Sindoor has taught us is non-contact warfare of a different order. If we have the intelligence of the launch pads, of the terrorist bases, or the move forward. So today I don't have to cross the border like surgical strikes. Surgical strikes is a very sensitive operation where the teams went in physically and destroyed the terror launch pads and came back. It's a very difficult one, being a paratrooper, I must say so. But tomorrow we are going to do preemptive operations. I need the target. I have the means to destroy those targets. I don't have to go in. And escalation is not going to happen. It's not in the interest of Pakistan for escalation. And just because fear of escalation doesn't mean that we keep bleeding. We'll have to face it once for all. And that is where I think we need a policy, we need a strategy. It's not that we are lacking in it. We've done exceedingly well. Mizoram insurgency was the second insurgency in the world to be resolved after Malay insurgency. We've done exceedingly well in Punjab, in Manipur, in Nagaland, in Assam. Today it is just not there. It's there on the surface. But the society cohesion has to be there. The people's cohesion has to be there. We have to, I agree, the hate speeches and all are going to put us back many, many years with all the hard work, all the sacrifices. So we have to understand that we need one approach, and the cognitive domain, the information domain is a very important, it's a critical domain, not so important, it's a critical domain. It has to be there, and it is, we have to, when we make a policy like this, I'm sure there must be taking people like you, Karthikeya, to get the inputs and your colleagues who give the inputs on how to handle the terror strikes in India, in the media. You just can't go ballistic about terror strikes every time, because that is going to be the fear in the people. That's what the terrorists actually want, and we're playing to their hands. So we have to manage that well. The information domain.
Mr. Azad, do you agree with that? Because imaginations are fired after what has happened in West Asia.
Yes. I fully agree with you.
Yeah, it's for Mr. Azad, then I'll come to you. Yeah.
Mr. Azad.
Yeah, I couldn't hear the general very clearly, but I am very clear about two things, Karthikeya. Deterrent threshold can never be defined, number one. And number two, you can't do an action like Operation Sindoor every time. So if you're defining any terror threshold, it's wrong. You are fooling yourself. For example, as far as I'm concerned, we should have, instead of doing anything, our attack should have been to take out these three people, Hafiz Saeed, Dawood Ibrahim, and the other Jaish-e-Mohammed guy. That is the kind of kinetic action which is required any time you feel like, without being scared of the nuclear thing, because this kind of a thing blackmail will always be there. Number two, I'm of the firm conviction that there can be no anti-terror policy without the people's support. So what does people's support mean? For example, you can't have, say, withdrawal of a case against Akhlaq. These things are all related. You can't have a hate speech, allow it, and let it just go on. It cannot be allowed. For example, even Manipur cases, if you're not having the proper prosecution at the right time, if you're not doing the proper investigation, you have a third-rate prosecution which allows withdrawal of cases. These are the troubles internally. It's basically governance, Karthikeya. You can't have a model where the army is fighting alone. Our army is doing a great job, but the politics should back it. The BSF is doing a great job, but the politics should back it. And that's exactly about the police internally. Anti-terror policy can only emanate from healthy systems
Okay.
and institutions.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay, a minute to you, Dr. Mishra.
Karthika, I can well tell you that the main thing is our law enforcement agencies and our intelligence, whether it is MAC or it is field intelligence or external intelligence or internal intelligence, and the judiciary. There is a big gap. There is a big gap between this law enforcement agency and our judiciary. And that has to be, we have to see that the balance has to be made.
Okay.
Until and unless we don't make the balance between all these three, we'll be facing problem. I will tell you in one case in which Masih was caught, he was apprehended, he was chief of Al-Faran when Abu Ghazi was killed. Masih was, in fact, for giving him death sentence, it took 20 years up to Supreme Court. This is what is our judiciary. We have to think about it, the balance between law enforcement agencies and also judiciary and intelligence.
Thank you all of you. A very riveting conversation. This is all I had on point one. Coming up next, a deep dive into the drone warfare in 2025 that redefined military warfare.
(2026) Take notes. Manifesting. For my little Miss Sunshine. Tickles and giggles. Also wanna be a biker chick this time. And dear 2026, only love for my people. And myself. To manifest my best life. Nature's cosmic energy.
Now mine, natural diamond intention pendants.
बहुत टाइड हो गई.
Take a date, not bites. नो एडेड शुगर, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स. Lion Date Nut Bites.
Every champion's journey starts with second thoughts.
क्या हुआ?
Till they see it's possible and there is someone who truly believes in them.
एक दिन बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनना है ना?
Orchids, the international school, raising 85,000 champions across India.
मुफ्त दवा है और मुफ्त इलाज, सुविधा सबको, राहत है आज. माँ बच्चे का पूरा ध्यान हो, सभी निरामय आयुष्मान. घर घर नल जल है जीवन, सब लोग सुखी है घर आंगन. अब फसल सुनहरी लहराए, खुश हो किसान झूमे गाए. उत्थान नई पहचान, बढ़ता राजस्थान, हमारा राजस्थान.
सन डायरेक्ट लेकर आया है एक जबरदस्त नया टीवी पैक. यहाँ असली 2 साल का निवेश, 100+ चैनल्स, HD क्वालिटी बॉक्स और रिचार्ज की टेंशन 2 साल के लिए खत्म. तो अभी लगवाइए सन डायरेक्ट. यहाँ खर्चा नहीं, 2 साल का असली निवेश.
सन डायरेक्ट सब्सक्रिप्शन पाने के लिए अपने नजदीकी रिटेलर से जल्द ही संपर्क करें और घर पर सन धन.
So what you see on your screen, viewers, are India's winning shots of 2025 from Sindoor, which was launched in May in retaliation to the Pahalgam terror attack. The world was left stunned to see India's indigenous drone warfare system when we destroyed terror camps of Jaish-e-Mohammed through our missiles, the way we defended ourselves from Pakistani missiles. It established one thing: drones are here to stay. At least 3 factors have established this. First, battlefield dominance demonstrated in